Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another MORFIT Live workout. I am Stuart. Let's have a workout, guys. We're doing bands and balls today. So if you have an exercise ball handy, and if you have some resistance bands, mini bands, we'll be using those, and resistance bands, if you have something like that as well, that would be great. Format's pretty straightforward today. So everything's going to be 40 seconds long. We're actually going to start with 40 seconds of either cardio or mobility work. And every round I'll just be kind of changing that up. But if you just want to skip at the start of every single round, you can skip or do burpees or mountain climbers or any other movements that I'll be doing throughout the workout. And then we have 4 exercises at 40 seconds each. We'll have 1 minute rest in between rounds. We have 3 different circuits, 2 sets of each. That gives us 6 rounds. That's just around 30 minutes or so, or just over 30 minutes in total. I'm going to show you some of the exercises ahead of time, just because there's not a lot of time in between exercises to demonstrate. And when we're using bands and balls, sometimes we're getting a little funky. So I will show you the movements beforehand. So in our first circuit, we have a squat with overhead pull apart. This can be done with any kind of resistance band. I'll show it with a mini band, but you can also just hold onto a resistance band if that's all you have. So I'm going to place the band around my wrists. I'm going to keep tension by pressing out at all times. And I'm going to squat and bring the band overhead. Now I can either start overhead and squat and bring the hands down, and then stand and bring them back up. That'd be a little bit easier. More challenging variation is I start with the arms down, and as I squat down, then I bring the arms up, finishing in that overhead squat position. All right, so that's exercise number 1. The second one is going to be hamstring curls on the ball. So lying on my back, heels on the ball, hips up in the air. I'm curling the ball in, curling out. I can make those more challenging by bringing the hips up as we curl, and then controlling back out again. That's exercise number 2. From there, we're going to go into band push-ups. So, we're going to use a resistance band excuse me, to either make our push-ups easier or harder. If you have the ability to anchor a band over something up in the air, like around floor joists or that sort of thing, then you can make your push-ups easier by getting inside your band, placing the band around your armpits. Then you go down to the floor, and now the band is actually helping you in your push-up. So that's one way to make it easier. The way that we're going to make the push-ups harder is by taking the band, wrapping it around the back, getting it up into the armpit area. I've got it hooked around my thumbs. Hopefully you can see that. And now, when I do a push-up, I'm working against the resistance of the band. So I can go back to the floor, feet or knees, and now my push-ups become harder because I have more resistance against them. I could also do that against a counter or a wall. So hopefully we can find a way to challenge yourself with that. If you just want to do regular push-ups, forget about the equipment, that's fine. And the last exercise is a prone band shoulder flexion. So this one is specifically, it's a bit of a awkward exercise. It's specifically to work on our shoulder mobility and activation of the postural muscles behind the shoulder. So I'm going to lie down on the floor, face down. I'm going to grab my band about shoulder width apart. I'm going to place my forehead on the floor and keep it there. And then with my elbows straight, I'm just going to lift my arms as high as they'll go without lifting my head off the floor. So it looks like this. All right, so that's our prone shoulder flexion. You can hold it for a long period of time or just do repetitions. That's up to you. All right, that's our first circuit. So let's get started here. Now, like I said, the first exercise of each round is going to be either skipping, burpees, mountain climbers, or something else. I'll do something different probably each round, but you can always go back into a previous exercise or a previous round's exercise at any point. I'm going to start off with skipping. All right, timer's going. If you have a rope, great. If you don't have a rope, you can air skip or do high knees or something else like that. All right, so 40 seconds. And then we're gonna go into those squats with overhead pull apart. All right, we got 10 seconds to go. So ready to grab your mini band? That's time. All right, in 10 seconds we start. Band's gonna go around the wrist or hold on to it. I'm gonna start with the easier variation. Arms overhead. Squat down, drop the arms. Stand up, raise the arms up. We're trying to keep the elbows nice and long. And we're trying to keep tension on the band at all times. Woo. That felt like a short 40. I may have messed up the timer on that one, we'll see. All right, hamstring curls on the ball. Here we go, hips up, roll the ball in, and roll the ball out. You want to really keep the hips up in the air at all times. And like I said, if you want to make them a little more challenging, bring your hips up as you curl in, and then back out. All right, that's your time. From there we have band push-ups. So place the band around your armpits, around your thumbs. Go off to a counter, floor, feet, knees, whatever you got to do to find a good level of work on the push-up. That's your time. Okay, prone band shoulder flexion. Face down on the floor. Grab your band, shoulder width apart. Forehead on the floor. Keep your arms straight. And then you're just raising the arms up. Resetting as often as you need. We're trying to get the wrists as high as we can.
On me, I keep eyes on you. You kept eyes on me, I kept eyes on you. You kept eyes.
All right, come on up. Okay, so that's one round through. We're gonna skip the timer ahead here because we're repeating those same exercises the second time. Instead of the skipping, I'm going to go to, instead of skipping, I'm going to go to mountain climbers, but you can do the skipping again if you want. Sorry, I had to do a quick wardrobe change there, get way too hot in t-shirts. All right, so we're starting up in 10 seconds. Ooh. My mic still going? Yeah, okay. All right, so I'm gonna go into mountain climbers. You can do skipping or anything else, up to you. Here we go. There it is. Whew, thought it was coming up. All right, I'm gonna start my squats right away because I think my timer's off on this first round. Oh yeah, it was only set for 20 seconds, not 40. All right, if you want to challenge yourself more, start low, squat, then bring the arms up. And if you want to work past the beep, just to get closer to 40 seconds, I'm going to do a few extra reps. That was the time. Maybe one extra rep. Okay, hamstring curls on the ball. Hopefully you feel this working back in the hamstrings. Hips up at all times. All right, what's next? We got the band push-ups. Around the back, hook it around the thumbs. If you found it uncomfortable on your thumb, wrap it around your palm as well. So it's not just around the thumb joint, that can be uncomfortable as well. So around the whole base of the palm. And then we got those prone shoulder flexion. Face down on the floor, forehead on the floor. How high can you get your wrists? All right, that's 2 cycles through, guys. 1 minute break, I'm gonna explain our next exercises. So, for the next round, if you have somewhere you can anchor your band, it doesn't have to be high. It could be around the leg of a couch or a table. Something that's fairly sturdy though. We're gonna hold the band. We're gonna go into a kneeling position. And we're gonna row. Draw the elbow back and then back up. So if your anchor point is down low, that's fine. You're just rowing, same movement, but at a different angle. We're gonna do one side for 40 seconds, then the other side for 40 seconds. Then we're gonna go into a ball squeeze, which is seated, ball between the knees, squeeze and release between the knees, and I'll show the last exercise when we get there. All right, I'm gonna go into a little bit of a mobility flow. Feel free to follow along. So starting off with downward dog, head between the ears, heels towards the floor. Then we're gonna transition forward, past the plank, dropping the hips towards the floor. Squeeze the abs, squeeze the glutes, and lift the chin. We're gonna go back to the downward dog. And transition. This might be upward dog. Never sure on the whole upward dog versus Sphinx or Cobra positions. All right, that's it. Okay, so remember, so we're going to the band rows. Kneeling position, row the elbow back, squeezing into the lats or the back, and then controlling back up. Now because our timer is a little bit funky, I'm going to ignore the timer right now. And we're going to do equal sides or equal time on both sides. So if you're watching the clock, just ignore it here. Keep rowing, drawing the elbow back towards the back pocket. Bit of a hold and a good strong squeeze when you're back there. We're going to switch sides in 3, 2, 1. Switch arms. Switch legs if you like. And then we're rowing. Can't really face you guys because my anchor point is on the other side of me. But hopefully you're able to see what's going on here. Try not to let the shoulders shrug. We want to keep the shoulder blades pulled down. And of course, because it's a band, the more tension I put on the band, the harder it's going to be. The closer I get to the anchor point, the easier it'll be. All right, that's our time. Okay, grab your exercise ball. We're going into ball squeeze. Ball between the knees. And here we go. So we're squeezing as hard as we can, or as hard as you're comfortable, and then release and repeat right away. You can be lying down on the floor if you're more comfortable. You don't have to be seated on this one. What's important is that we're trying to get fairly close to 90 degrees at the knees. So don't have your legs straight out there. Well, you can do it there. Get a bit more leverage when your knees at 90 degrees. Build up your tension. Hold it for a good 5 seconds before you release. All right, last exercise, come on up to a crunch. So seated on the ball, we're gonna roll forward until our low back is on the ball. And then I'm going to let myself hold around the surface of the ball, and then crunch up, driving the chest and the chin straight up. Down and up. The more time we spend at the top, the more work we're gonna get. A couple things I want to avoid is coming all the way up, because now I'm not working anymore. So you want to keep that angle. And secondly, if the ball is way up at my shoulder blades, that's a lot of body weight supported by the ball. So I want to try and get as far up or off the ball as I can during the crunch. All right, that's it. That's one cycle through. All right, so we're gonna go again in 45 seconds here, guys. Again, I'm gonna change up that first exercise. If you liked that downward dog to upward dog, go back to that, go back to skipping. I'm gonna do more of a spine rotation. So I'm gonna do bridge rotations, which is a little bit more challenging.
Good morning, Birmingham.
If you look at it and you think, you know what, it's not gonna happen, then do something that we've previously done. I'll show it first so you can see it. So from a low squat, my right hand goes back, drive the hips up and reach with the arm, push yourself back, and then switch off to the other side. So that's our bridge rotation. That's what I'm gonna go into next. All right, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Here we go. Trying to get the hips all the way up on the rotation and keep the knees out. Less than 10. All right. Okay, grab your band. Back to the rows. Here we go. If you only have a really light band and you find this is way too easy, you can do straight arm pull downs. So get a bit of a hinge. You're gonna pull the arms straight down to the side. And then back up. So it's still gonna work the back muscles, but it's gonna be more challenging than a row. Don't change sides yet, stay here. Remember, this is a shorter round. one. Now we'll switch sides. So the big difference between a rowing motion and a straight arm motion is a row is going to work the bicep at the elbow, and the straight arm pull down works the tricep at the elbow. So it changes more the secondary muscle that's involved, but the primary muscles working at the shoulder remain the same. Still your lats, posterior deltoid, and your triceps assisting at the shoulder as well. All right, that's it. Release your band. Grab your ball. We've got the ball squeeze and then the ball crunch. Here we go. If you want to bring the abdominals into this exercise, if you want things to get a little bit more challenging for you, get your hands up. Hold yourself in this reclined V-sit position, and then still go with your squeeze for the adductor to the hip. And again, if that's way too tough, just relax, lie down on the floor, and focus on the ball squeeze. Have a seat on the ball. Last one in round 4, our ball crunch. Remember, we're going to roll to the low back, not to the mid back if we can. Spend more time here at the top for more work. You can also play with your hand positioning. So if your hands are at your legs, that makes it easier. Crossed over the chest will be harder. Bringing them up towards overhead makes it even harder. Now you have more center of mass up towards the top of your body. And the longer lever, of course. And time. All right, let's go through our exercises for the last round here, guys. So we have ball side bends. This one's a little bit tricky. You will want a wall or a couch. Couch would actually be best because you can hook your feet underneath the couch, and that would be the easiest for this exercise. But I'm going to try and get my feet anchored somewhere. I'm going to use a wall. I'm going to start seated on the ball, and I'm going to turn 90 degrees. So I'm facing sideways with my feet scissored or splayed on the wall, and then I'm going to go through a side bend. So similar to the crunch, but focusing on the obliques. We'll do both sides, and then I'm going to go to a ball knee tuck. So feet on top of the ball, hands on the floor, tuck the knees in and back out. If that's too tough, you can just hold the plank. And I'll have to show the last one when we get there. All right. I'm going to go into a arm circle here. So lying on my side, and I'm just going to open up the shoulder and the spine. Again, if you want something more high intensity, go do some burpees, do some skipping. I'm just getting a little bit more mobility injected into the workout today. So keep going on the same side if you're following along. Just going to show from the side, really opening up the spine and opening up the shoulder, drawing as big of a circle as I can with my arm. We'll do the other side on the next round. All right, let's get on the wall, seated on the ball, feet propped up against the wall or the couch, turn 90 degrees, don't fall over, and then side bends. We're going to ignore the timer. In 10 seconds, it's going to beep. Ignore that. We're going to keep going. Just like with the crunch, try not to come all the way up where you feel you're resting. We want to stop before that point. All right, let's turn to the other side. So rotating all the way over, facing the opposite way. The feet are still scissored. And now I'm going to do my side bends on the other side. So we should be feeling the obliques. The abdominal muscle is more towards the side of the torso. That's what we're focusing on in this exercise. in time. What was next? Oh, the ball knee tucks. All right. So hands on the floor, feet on top of the ball. If you're not comfortable with that, you can just do a regular plank or mountain climbers instead. You'll be working the same muscles as what I'm doing here. Feet on the ball, tuck the knees in, and then roll back out. I'm trying to get a nice full extension of the legs when I roll out, so try not to finish here. Try to go all the way out. And try to keep the spine fairly neutral when you tuck the knees in. Three, 2, and 1. I didn't show this exercise yet. Mini band around the wrists, nice and light. We go back to a plank position. Lots of planking here, guys. Have your feet wide on the floor. You're gonna reach, hand out to the side, and then back. Other side, alternating left and right. If you need to go to the knees, I recognize this is a lot of core work in this round, so feel free to go to your knees and touching the hand out to the side and back. So that reach out against the band makes us work the back of our shoulders. And of course, we're in that plank position, so we're still getting the abdominal work. Whew. All right, come on up. 1 minute rest, get some water if you need. And then we're heading into our last round, guys. So our first exercise, we're gonna go back to those side-lying arm circles, but we're gonna face the other direction. So I'm gonna have my left arm up this time. And then the rest we know. All right. 30 seconds. Whew. That's a good one. We did a lot of muscle groups on the back side of the body today, so like lats, backs of the shoulders, hamstrings. This is a really nice workout to balance out a lot of the body weight exercises or workouts we've been working on, which is a little bit trickier to get those guys involved. So this is a nice complementary workout to what you've been doing throughout the week. All right, arm circles, left side up, here we go. Big circles all the way around. We're allowing the spine to rotate as I look up to the ceiling, maximizing the diameter of the circle that I'm drawing with my hand. Just nice and relaxed through the whole body. On the bell, we're going back to the ball and the wall. Those side bends. All right, that's it. I could do those for 5 minutes straight, I think. All right, side bends, here we go. Find the wall, scissor the legs, and here we go. Just like with the crunches, we don't want to have too much of our body on the ball. So if I'm setting up and the ball is like on my armpit here, then I'm not going to get a whole lot of body weight working against my obliques. So I want to try and keep going. I want to try and get up as high as I can this way on the ball when I'm on the wall. Okay, we're going to switch sides here in 3, 2, 1. Let's go to the other side. And same thing with the arms. If I have my arms down by my hip, then there's less resistance. If I cross my arms, there's more. If I bring my arms up overhead, then you're really gonna feel the difference on the amount of resistance you're working against. So find the arm position that works for you. 3, 2, and 1. All right, back to those knee tucks. If you want to use the ball, but you don't like the feet on the ball, here's an option for you. You can either have your hands on the ball or your forearms on the ball, so you're planking on the ball, and you can just hold this or you could do individual knee tucks, like the same movement of a mountain climber. But a lot of people are more comfortable with their upper body on the ball as opposed to the feet on the ball. That's up to you. All right, let's get the mini band at the wrist, guys. Our last 40 seconds of work. And here we go. Plank pull-aparts. If your feet are close together, you're probably gonna feel like your hips are having to sway side to side to keep balance. If your feet are wider, then you can stabilize the pelvis. And that will actually be more work on the core than having everything swing side to side. Go nice and slow with the hands. Try not to just do a quick touch. All right. I believe that's it, folks. Yep, that's our 6 rounds. Okay. So we got through another band and ball workout today. Nice work. What do we got here? How's our time looking? All right. We'll do a couple stretches here together before we call it a day. Just turn the timer off. All right, what have we not stretched in a while? Actually, let's do our adductors. We did the ball squeeze today, and we don't often do the adductors for stretching. So let's tackle those guys. We'll do it in a half kneeling position. So one knee's down on the floor. I got my left knee down. I'm gonna reach my right leg out to the side. To make sure that I'm getting into the adductors and not the hamstring, I wanna watch that my straight leg doesn't turn up. If my toes are up or my knees pointing up, then I'm gonna be stretching a bit more into the hamstring. So I'm gonna really rotate that whole leg forward so my toes and my knees are pointing towards the camera, and then I'm gonna feel more of the inner thigh stretch. The further out I go, the more I'm gonna stretch, so just be careful there. Don't go too far. Do another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring the right knee in. Step the left leg out to the side. Make sure the knees and the toes are turned forward.
We focus in a side. We focus.
How's that side feel compared to the first side? This side's not as tight as my right. Always like to pay attention to what side is tighter than the other. Makes you think about why that might be throughout the day. Okay, bring that side in. And we did the inner thigh. Let's maybe stretch out the muscles on the outer thigh as well. We often focus on like quads, hip flexors, hamstrings, those sagittal plane muscles. We'll focus on the frontal plane today. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stretch the outside of the hips. I'll show this facing this way. So lie down on your back. There's a couple ways to do these. I really like this one. But not everyone feels this stretch. Let's give it a go. So take your right leg, cross it, or your right ankle, cross it over your left thigh. And then we're just going to drop the legs to the left until your right foot touches the floor. And now my left leg is bent 90 degrees and flat on the floor. Think about pulling your right hip down to the floor, and that should put a stretch into the outside of your right hip. It's a really easy stretch to get into. If you find the right angles, then it's really easy to stretch this area very comfortably. Some of the other stretches for this one are really awkward or not very comfortable. that right knee pointing straight up. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back to center. Right leg on the floor, cross the left ankle over the right thigh, and we're going to drop the legs out to the right. My left foot is now flat on the floor. Left knee is pointing up, and I'm intentionally pulling the left hip back and down. Five, 4, 3, 2, and time. Okay, my friends, I'm gonna call it there. Thanks for joining me for another workout. I'll see you for the next one. Take care. Stay safe, guys.